welcome to our Saturday morning tea, where we discuss health information, news, education, and certification tips. I am Clarice Warner, the girl with the pearls, the founder and education director of the Professional Reimbursement Network, LLC, where coding education is key. And joining me today, yay, it's my co-host who's been a godsend in these last couple of months, Mr. Jesse, the coding nurse. So, sir, introduce yourself and tell the folks all about you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jesse. I have been a nurse for 28 years, and about almost 8 years ago, I got tired of the bedside, and I got an opportunity to move into medical coding, risk adjustment medical coding, in fact. And it was a match made in heaven, and I just love it. So in 2020, I created the Coding Nurse LLC to help other nurses and people in healthcare transition away from the bedside and get into HIM.
Look at you doing all the things to help multiple professions. But we got some tea today, sir. Let me just say, we got some tea. If you are a member of the AAPC, you probably received an email Thursday afternoon, about some of the changes that will happen in just a few short weeks. I was kind of the time frame of the changes was the first thing that stuck me. Like, did this say 2022?
I mean, no mention beforehand.
I was like,
nowhere.
I said, did this say 2022? Wait, I had to go back and look. Like, that's in a couple of weeks. So that was the first thing that stopped me, but we'll get into that. So they have released information about changes that will be made to their certification exams. Mm-hmm. And on first glance, the changes sound good. Like, okay, well, here we go. What's up? Hey. On a second glance, I don't know. And so we're going to get into that and talk about that today. The major change that we got going on is that they are going to change the format. At least for what I know for certain is for the CPC exam. I think it applies to most of the exams that have the same format as the CPC exam. But there are other exams that the certification exams that the AAPC have that are a little different. And so I'm not 100% certain how they're going to roll that in. And I hadn't seen information related to that. But anyway, the big news is that they're changing their format. It will now, the time for the CPC exam will be reduced to 4 hours. Yes, 4 hours. In that same vein, they are also reducing the number of questions. So you will have 4 hours to complete 100 questions. Now chew on that for a minute. What was your initial thoughts when you heard that, Mr. Jesse?
My initial thoughts were they were trying to get it in. I think they were trying to bring the time down to be more competitive with the HEMA. Mm-hmm. Because some people are in by test time. When somebody hears 5 hours, 40 minutes, they're like, I'll never get through it. So it's some people it's a fear factor. Overall, I think it'll be a good thing because I felt as though I have 3 AAPC credentials, and one of them is not include CPB. That one is a little different because that's right now it's 200 questions and 5 hours, and they're going to reduce that to 135 questions. But I think that they could achieve their objectives in less questions. Yes. So I think I don't think the exam will be any easier, but I think it'll be easier in terms of time, in terms of how you prepare, in terms of how you pace yourself.
So to that point, I think it's clear that there has to be some strategy more intentional strategies involved with your test taking as they have modified their certification exams. And so I think that's that may catch folks. The other thing I thought, I was like, that's an interesting point about 5 hours. I don't think I can do that. 4 hours sounds doable. That's that same marketing ploy of $2.99 versus $3. I didn't think about that, but that's interesting. That's interesting that you mentioned that. The thing I thought, because like I said, I used to proctor for AAPC exams, and folks would just go completely, I didn't have enough time. So even though you have the folks that felt like they couldn't sit that long or get through it, you have folks on the opposite swing that felt it wasn't enough time at all. And I'm like, whoo. For me as a proctor, and we'll talk a little bit about what has been shared in the white paper. If you're on YouTube, you can actually, the link is in the description box. But sometimes it's hard to even get proctors to sit for that, 5 hours, and provide the proctoring services. And actually, as a proctor, you're there longer than 5 hours. You're there a little longer. So I think that was one of the things that they mentioned. Another thing they mentioned was, well, since they reduced it to like 4 hours, and maybe you could have multiple exams happening on the same day. Who does that? That I was like, really? Mm-hmm. Really? Who does that? Who does that? So maybe you get an opportunity to flip proctors out. Maybe that's how they will handle that if you were doing 2 exams in the same day. So if you had a 4-hour morning exam and then a 4-hour like afternoon exam and maybe 2 different proctors, but then that's still a lot. I don't know. Those were some of the things that I was like, okay.
Well, I mean, you too, Clarice, like we're both certified through AHIMA and AAPC. Mm-hmm. And I have to honestly say, when it comes to exams, I think that AHIMA's questions and I think how they ask their questions is far better than AAPC. I mean, I was really impressed because like they don't have 150 questions on their exam. Well, not on the coding exams. And they cover a lot of territory. Like you're not going to just breeze in there and breeze out. Like you have to know. And they ask you, I mean, it's interesting how they combine things. You can, once you're going through the exam, you can see the concepts they're asking about, and you see they want you to know, not only do they want you to know coding, they want you to know like regulatory information. They want you to know HIPAA information, and they really do a very, very good job of covering the full gamut in those in the 4 hours that they give you. And I've never run out of any time. I've had more time on AHIMA exams than AAPC exams left over.
Mm-hmm. I think with the AAPC, they try to do the same thing because you have the different sections where it encompasses all the things that you should know as a medical coder, being compliance information, reimbursement information, ICD-10 information, and then of course the meat on the bones is CPT, and so everything CPT. One of the things that I saw, because I think initially I thought, oh, okay, well, this will give folks an opportunity to, get through the questions and all of that. But if you read the white paper, if you go in depth and look at some of the things that they've shared, particularly when they talk about reliability and Jesse, did you have anything that you wanted to take us out with, or?
I just wanted to just echo the same sentiment. It has been an amazing experience so far, and I've enjoyed learning from Clarice and from everyone who comes into the room. And as I say all the time, like, we really give you the real in here. And that's a lot of people really make it flowery, and they give you this highbrow, almost therapy suite kind of thing. But we give you the real, and we're honest, and we give you right. And that's what you need, to be prepared. Like, you need to know the truth. You need to know this is what you have to know. This is how you prepare. Right. This is what you can expect to see. And even at work, this is how you plan your next step or your next move. So I hope you all continue to come back and tell a friend.
Well, thank you all again. As I always sign out, you remember to be safe, be kind, and don't wish for it, work for it. And so until next time, take care of yourself and each other.